Good morning, brothers and sisters of Finance 300. This is a review of the 4.1 assessment and to give you a little bit of hints on how to work through this. Now, I think that this one should be relatively straightforward. They've given you all of the core information you need over in this area, the data working area, of which they give you the recipe, right? Which has already been pre-filled in here for you. 1 pizza crust, 10 ounces of cheese, 12 ounces of, well, 10 ounces of tomato sauce, 12 ounces of cheese, 8 ounces of pepperoni, and 25 ounces, 0.25 ounces of spices. They do the same in terms of how much the cost per hour is for the chef, as well as the dishwasher. So they've pre-filled this in for you. Now you just got to take the rest of the information and fill in these different blanks. Now, I'm going to assume that, well, I have to assume so that I don't do this whole thing for you, that you know how to do formulas. Some of the formulas I will just highlight, obviously, but I won't do the whole thing. So, on all these totals, you're going to take, I'm just putting in equals, right? Equals the units divided by ounces, that units or ounces, I take that times, right? And then I'm going to take C5. All right, that's going to give me a total for that. I'm going to then copy, I'm just going to do it for this block so that, the rest of it you're going to have to figure out. I'm going to take that, I'm going to copy it. Now for me, I do a Control C, but for others, you might do a copy right here. And I'm just going to paste it down here, right? I'm going to paste. Usually you can do formulas or you can just do it as is. I like to do formulas that way. I just have formulas in there, right? So all the formulas are copied down. Pretty easy on that one. Now you're going to do the same for this area. And then, but I'm going to do a sum because total materials is going to be total of all these things. So if I hit sum and I select these areas, and then that's the sum of that, right? Now you want to do the same for the total labor, and then your COGS is going to be your materials plus your labor, okay? So that's a pretty much an easy setup. Now, I'll carry that over here to cost of goods sold per pizza. I'm just going to make it equal to that cell right there. And voila, I'm done. And I'm going to then take the sales minus the COGS. Okay, that gives me my gross margin. And I'm going to then take my gross margin, right, and divide it by sales. That gives me my percent. Now, that's how you set up the fundamental like totals and linkages to this part. This rest of it, I'll show you one and I'll show you one for like sales, and then you're gonna have to do the rest. Okay. Now I'm just setting up the formulas that way. When I actually enter in all this other stuff, then the rest starts to work itself out. Okay. So per day, it says that I can do 240 pizzas per day. So I take my good old $8 per pizza times 240. Now, if we were really wanting to set this up right, what I would do is, for example, I would make these all referential. So like, for example, I'd put a 1 here, I put a 10 here, 12 here, 8 here, whoops, why did I do that? 8 here, and 0.25 here. And then maybe over here I'd do 1, 0.06, 0.12, 0.15, 1. And I'd do the same thing here, 15, 30, 8, 30, right? And then lastly over here, I do 8, 240, and 20. Now, the reason I would do this in my Excel files is because I would want all my assumptions to be grab and go, if you will, referential. And so if I make any changes here, it'll automatically change over here. So what I mean by that is now I can come over here, right, to this B5, and I can say equals this right there, right? And I can change all this. Now, the way I do it is I select everything that I've done. I've got a formula up here. I hit F2, that opens up the cell to editing, but then I hit Control Enter, and it copies all those formulas down in that area. I can do the same thing here, equals the 15, but this one I can't really do the same thing. I'll just do equals 8, right? So now I have a formula, a cell-driven variable file that I don't have to change here. I can just change here in my area, my calculations area, and it spits it out over here. Same with like the pizza. I can do this over here. Now, it's not necessary for this project, this specific assignment, I understand, but in other assignments, it might be helpful to do what I'm showing you. So I'm taking this opportunity to do this for you. So now all the rest is all formulas, right? So now let's just take one line item out of each of these, and I'll run it through for you, and then we'll figure out over here. Well, I was going to do the per day first. Sorry, I got on a tangent, so let me come back. So the per day is going to be pretty simple because I'm going to take the price per day, which I've already got here, price per pizza, and I'm going to times it by number of pizzas going to be done per day, right? Straightforward. Now, per month, I'm going to take the price per day, and it says that there's 12 working days in the month. So let's not do that one. Let's do this one because I don't know what these are going to do. So 20, right? So now I got my per month thing. Now you can copy these formulas, right? These are already formulas, right? Paste them all the way over. And then all you got to do is the same formulas here on the sales for the COGS. And it'll calculate everything here. So we've got this set up. Well, you will have it set up once you finish these out. You'll have these set up so that once you start dropping in information here, it'll automatically feed information over here. Now your cost per ounce is pretty straightforward. It's right here, right? Pizza crust equals ingredient cost right there. Now, if you followed my logic on the other one, you'll know that you can take all these because these are all in the same location. You can hit F2 and you can do a Control Enter and it give you the numbers. All right. I'll just go ahead and do that. See if you can mimic what I just did. So now it's giving you the cost all the way down here for the materials. Voila, $4.49, right? Now your hours in time, you've got 30 pizzas per hour. So if we got 30 pizzas per hour, how much time does that take? 30 pizzas per hour. Well, hours in terms of time as a fraction. So we can do this a couple different ways. Let's just do, okay, I can do one pizza. I can do 30 pizzas per hour, hours and time. So I can do 30 pizzas in 1 hour. I can do 1 hour for every 1 hour takes me 30 pizzas. 1 hour for 30 pizzas. So 30 pizzas takes how much fractions of an hour? That's 0.03, right? Now, I did that mathematically. Let's take that 30 and put it over here, right? So now I've got it as a formula. 1/30 of a pizza equals an hour's time. Or 1/30 of an hour equals a pizza's time in hours. And you can do the same thing for the dishwasher, right? So if I take this times, let's do this right, do that times that, then I've got my fraction of an hour or my cost per hour, right? And then I can do the same thing on this one, sum And voila, I've got my thing here. Okay, so arguably, once you finish out your dishwasher and all the other stuff, you'll populate all this, and you can just take these formulas, copy them there, and you should have all the answers you need for week 4.1 assessment. Hopefully, I've gotten you most of the way there. You just have to do what I did and put the formulas in there, make it work. Have a great day. Bye.